Good morning. Today, January 6th, the U.S. House and Senate will convene to confirm the results of the 2024 election by certifying the Electoral College vote, which will declare Donald Trump the president who will be inaugurated 2 weeks from today. Now, think back 4 years ago. There was a disruption of politics as usual, what the opponents of Trump are calling the insurrection of January 6th, what Donald Trump is now calling a day of love. All in all, there have been more than 1,200 arrests, 710 guilty pleas, 170 convictions, and the question is now before Trump, will he issue pardons for the people who were put in prison and given prison terms for their actions on that day? Also, don't forget there was a second impeachment vote against Donald Trump, accusing him of organizing an insurrection. I'm Harley Schlanger from the LaRouche organization with your daily video update. And we're going to look at today ongoing moves to contain Donald Trump, similar to what was done in 2016 with Russiagate. You may remember the charges that he was elected by Russian meddling and that in fact he was an illegitimate president. There was an attempt to demonstrate that the Trump administration was illegal or was certainly not legit. But this has been exposed as a fraud, a complete fraud, designed to move Trump away from his commitment to end the policy of permanent wars. Now that policy continued. Biden, in fact, accelerated the wars. Biden's decision to build up the army in Ukraine to fight against Russia. For what purpose? To weaken Russia. And at the same time, to back the policy of Netanyahu, who's conducting a radical transformation of the Middle East by escalating against the Palestinians, the ethnic cleansing, what the International Court of Justice has called a case of genocide. Well, that's what Biden did. Biden had a commitment to defend the military-industrial complex. Now, the moves to contain Trump include the confirmation hearings, the attempt to deny him his choices, particularly Kash Patel as FBI director and Tulsi Gabbard as the director of national intelligence. And Gabbard in particular is targeted because she's not going to go along with the old boys network, that she has challenged a number of the assertions from the intelligence community, including those against former Syrian President Assad. She's challenged the narrative that the Ukraine war was unprovoked, that Putin was not provoked into it. These are challenges from Gabbard, which imply that much of what's been done to get us into this permanent state of war was done deliberately and was done by a faction of neocons and neoliberals who are trying to defend a collapsing world order based on an imperial neocolonial system. And so the effort to disrupt the confirmation process, and by labeling people like Gabbard a Putin mouthpiece, is part of an overall strategy that is being done by a party which lost decisively in the elections. Now, then you have another new theme in the last couple of days, Bannon versus Musk. Bannon claiming to represent the MAGA party, claiming that Musk is an elitist Silicon Valley guy, over the whole question of can there be a re-implementation of the the HB1 visa exemptions that will bring skilled technicians to the United States over and above the existing immigration levels. Now, this is one of these issues that in many ways is a phony issue. Trump, by accepting this, is looking at it as an exception, not as a rule. But what it's being tossed into the political battle is an attempt to blunt the policy initiatives being taken and to force Trump to back away from his intention. Now, this is something which is going on internationally. Just step back for a second and look at the world. There are two elections in Eastern Europe, in Georgia and Romania, where the so-called democratic forces of the European Union are not accepting the results of the vote. They're trying to overturn it with the color revolution in Georgia by nullifying the election in Romania because the people voted for the wrong guy. And we're seeing this as a consistent pattern from the people who claim they are the adherents of democracy, defending the world against tyranny. You have in Germany, on February 23rd, there'll be an election to choose a new chancellor. The present government collapsed because of its policies, because it's unpopular. The policies of the establishment are being rejected by the majority of voters around the world. There's chaos in France. In the United Kingdom, the Labour Party under Starmer is now at levels of support of Sunak and the Tories before they were booted out. In Canada, you have the resignation of the finance minister, Freeland, who's supposedly so important to the Trudeau government, but the fact is the Trudeau government is collapsing because its policies are not supported by the majority of Canadians. And then in the U.S., you had the Trump victory. Now, what were the key issues in this global turmoil? Inflation and debt, unaffordable housing, the green revolution, which is destroying industry and making energy shortages a regular occurrence, and war. That's the policy of the neocons and the neoliberals. And there's a reaction against it, a reaction that's spreading throughout the populations in the West and the North, which has already gripped the countries of the global South, which are in rebellion against the New World Order of the globalists, of the International Monetary Fund, of the central bankers. So we're intervening in this thing very directly, the LaRouche movement. We're supporting the initiatives from the Doctors Against Genocide, which call for ending U.S. support for a government in Israel which is committed to an ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians. And I'll have a link in the description box about that. Secondly, to fight to confirm the Trump cabinet choices, especially Gabbard and Kash Patel. And these are quite significant initiatives, and there'll be a box also on that in the description section. And third, to back the call from Pope Francis for making 2025 a Jubilee year. Cancel the odious debt. Create a situation where there's a new financial system which provides credit for production, not for speculators. Instead of defending too big to fail banks, put them through bankruptcy reorganization as LaRouche proposed in his 4 laws, and move instead toward investment in the front ends of technology and infrastructure, which will increase the productivity of every single worker employed. And to do that, we've just produced a pamphlet. Development Drive means billions of new jobs, no refugees, no wars. That's how you solve the problem. Not rhetoric, but a policy of economic development that includes a credit mechanism to generate income or generate credit for entrepreneurs and for those who want to produce, and takes away the pumping mechanisms of the Federal Reserve and the central banks, which give unlimited funds to bail out the speculators. These are simple policies. They also imply a move of the U.S. and the West to at least become partners with the global South as opposed to predators. And these are the simple steps that would move us back from the danger of thermonuclear war to have the potential for a world of peace and development in which every single child is seen as a great potential for improving the circumstances of all nations in the future. So check out the links in the description box and become active with the LaRouche movement.